So Helldivers 2 just added one of the best primary weapons in the game. And before any of you twist my words in the comment section, I said one of the best, not the best. You know, there are the 4 horsemen of the Helldivers 2 primary weapons, you know, the crossbow, the purifier, the torture, and the scorcher. These 4 guns can be great for groups of mobs, whether it's the explosive radius or the fire damage being sprayed back and forth, but they can also take out heavy. So, you know, these are the 4 horsemen. But, in my opinion, the 5th best weapon is the Halt, which was just added in the Truth Enforcer's Warbond. Now, this gun has medium penetrating ammo that's just very strong and does a lot of damage from close range in its own right. But this gun's stun rounds makes it the best weapon to bring to play a pure supporting role. It has pretty much as powerful a stun as an arc thrower, being able to stun enemies like Hulks and Chargers and everything smaller than them in just one shot, and then locking them down and keeping them stunned with more follow-up shots. And also, don't get it twisted, I explained it as a supporting role weapon, but you can also just support your own support weapon. And the reason why I think this gun is so good and rate it so highly is because it does just do a lot of damage with the medium pen rounds, but it also provides build variety. We have stun grenades in the grenade slot, we have arc thrower in the support weapon slot, and now we have Halt in the primary slot. It's kind of like using thermite in your grenade slot, and then you free up some anti-tank slots from your stratagems or support weapons or whatever it may be. And this gun provides something that no other primary weapon does: build variety. I think this weapon has a lot of different builds if you take advantage of the stun, and we'll even talk about the uses of this weapon on the bot side of things. Now, in my first thoughts video of the Warbond yesterday, I did mention that the gun was very powerful, but it was a bit weird to get used to. Most of the feedback I've gotten is that people are actually generally enjoying this weapon, so that's pretty nice, but I've heard some people mentioning they're having some problems with it, whether it's not one-shotting smaller enemies, or things not always stunning from a certain distance, or not always stunning things in one shot, and mainly that weapon swapping, different ammo types was really weird. So I have a fix for the programmable ammo issue that Erevan actually shared with me, and also just general tips and tricks to break down how this weapon works, how you can more consistently stun enemies in less shots, or kill enemies in less shots for that matter. So the first thing we definitely need to talk about is keybinds for fast weapon swapping. This was shared to me by Erevan. He's posting his guide covering how to use this weapon tomorrow, and he's been using it in ways that I'm not going to be covering in this one, so be sure to check that one out. And this is simply done by going into your combat settings, scroll down until you see the open weapon wheel option, and pick an open key that's comfortable for you to bind this to. I'm on mouse and keyboard, I chose F, and then go to your wheel right option and assign it to the same key, and make sure both of these are set to press. You can do the same exact thing on controller, but you'll have to find a button for it. So for example, if your right or left on the D-pad is hold to open up the emote wheel, you have to hold it in. You can actually still set this on that same button just as a press option. You can assign these 2 keybinds to the same button, 1 press and 1 hold. And that is an insane tip that just makes this gun so much easier to use. But even if you don't want to change your keybinds, this is still great for a supporting role. Like I said, for either your teammates, for your turrets, for your backpack, or for your own support weapon. So let's talk about how to stun things effectively. And before we do get into those tips and tricks, I'd like to talk about today's sponsor, Instant Gaming, an awesome and affordable gaming website that gets you video games you were already interested in buying anyway for much cheaper. They usually get the newest releases for at least 20 to 30% off, but they've also got classics that you may want to replay or missed out on in the past for up to 80 or 90% off. Instant Gaming has been sponsoring the channel for a few months. I've used it, plenty of people in the community have used it as well, so I can vouch that this website is not only trustworthy, but you will usually always get your key delivered to your email instantly. So click the link in the description if you're interested in a video game right now. You can get it from here for much cheaper. All right, so let's give the tips and tricks quickly for the mechanics of how this shotgun works so that you can get the most usages out of it. Now, the first mention I've heard is that this weapon can sometimes not one-tap smaller enemies. Now, first of all, the stun rounds do far less damage than the medium rounds. You need to land a lot of those pellets, even into the head of a hunter, for example, to to one-shot it. But even with the medium pen rounds, sometimes you could find yourself not one-shotting smaller enemies. And this is simply due to the larger spread that this shotgun has. It is a Punisher variant, so for anyone that uses the Punisher or the Cookout, you might be used to that sort of spread on your shotgun. But this gun spread actually more so compares to the Incendiary Breaker. So you need to be at closer ranges where the Incendiary Breaker would be more effective, or make sure you're really centering the enemies and getting a really good aim at them. As long as you know the spread of this weapon, you can basically know how to manage it and either kill enemies or stun them more consistently. I just wanted to throw that out there for people who were using this gun more like the Punisher or the Cookout. Just definitely be aware of that. All right, so next is the stun rounds. And I've heard a few people saying that this gun won't always stun things, but this gun works similar to the arc thrower or the pummeler. Now, if we take a look at the patch notes for the arc thrower, when they added the stun ability onto that weapon, they mentioned that the arc thrower now has a moderate stun effect that builds up on targets. That's how this shotgun works, and the stun effect is built up from each pellet that hits the enemy. So if you only land one pellet on an enemy, it might not stun it. If you need to land multiple pellets on it, and if you get a bad shot, you might have to shoot a couple times. Now, in general, this stun effect is easier to stun smaller enemies than bigger enemies. A very small enemy like a scavenger probably actually would get stunned in one pellet. I couldn't test that specifically, but maybe it would get stunned in 2 or 3 pellets. Whereas something like an Alpha Commander, maybe you need to land half the pellets from the shot on it. Maybe something like a Charger, you need to land even a little bit more than that. I mean, in general though, I have stunned Chargers in one solid shot of this weapon. But if your weapon's like off center, and you know how I said it has a larger spread than the Punisher, for example, you just need to make sure you land enough pellets. And if you don't, just shoot it again, and then it will definitely be stunned. Now, as you can see from the Charger footage I've been playing in the background, you can also stun the Charger from the front, mainly because he has that light armor on his underbelly. You can aim for the sides of him down lower where his light armor is. I even managed to stun him sometimes in the armpits. I aim it kind of lower on its sides. Or obviously you could aim for that dump truck in the back. So with that out of the way, first up we have the bug build. And this gun was quite literally built for the flamethrower. Anyone who uses the flamethrower should know that when you throw a stun grenade, you can wipe an entire group of mobs or a charger extremely quickly. There's nothing worse than a flaming hunter setting you on fire. And this opens up our grenade slot for gas grenades. Or if you want to take a different grenade, you can. I chose gas grenades because they are a pseudo stun grenade, but they also do gas over time and damage a ton of enemies. They straight up kill the smaller enemies, but then you can also add in your fire, which is a separate damage over time. This combo is very powerful, but it was missing that stun that the Halt brings back. Now for the stratagems, the backpack of choice I took was the supply pack, just for a bunch of extra stims and extra gas grenades. You can honestly take whatever backpack that you choose. Like I mentioned, the buddy backpacks are really good for this weapon, but I'm a stim addict, I think we all are, even though Super Earth says they're not addictive, it is what it is. And then I took the 500 kg for Bile Titans. And by the way, if a Bile Titan happens to survive a 500 kg, it's probably heavily weakened, so just shoot it down and finish it off with your flamethrower. At least that works for me. If that doesn't work for you, I'm sorry, but it's always worked for me every time a Bile Titan didn't die to a 500. And then for my last slot, I also took Gas Strike because it has an insane crowd control to, again, help enemies not get near you. Or if you want to use something else like Orbital Gatling Barrage, which has a very short cooldown, feel free to take that. Feel free to take a turret if you want, because stunning enemies and keeping them, and chargers especially, and keeping those away from your turrets would be really nice. And let's be honest, a lot of people might even just take Orbital Napalm Barrage in this slot. You do you. And what's really awesome about the Halt and Flamer combo is I was even using this over on the bot side of things. Now, if you've been watching my streams or even the video I posted the other day, I've really been enjoying using the Flamer on the bot side because it's an extremely exhilarating playstyle. Now, I know I make it cool and I sound like I'm trying to sell it to you, but really this is a challenge run that I just really like doing. And the more that I do it, the more I get used to it, because the flamethrower can actually kill a lot of the bots very quickly, hulks and tanks included, even the factory strider, but it's extremely dangerous. The best weapon I tried with the flamethrower before the Halt came out was actually the Plasma Punisher, because the Plasma Punisher can stagger lock groups of Devastators, but the Halt actually just straight up stuns them. You need to aim for their arms, legs, or midsections, and from the ranges you're at, you do usually need to fire off a few shots, Sometimes when I'm at a longer range, I just even swap over to the Senator and score some quick headshots on Devastators. Now, since we're on the bot side of things, trying to use a flamethrower, I did take stun grenades with this build as well, just so that I can make sure everything's stunned at all times, and then I could fly in with the jetpack. And flying in with a jetpack and throwing a stun grenade at a patrol and landing behind them and flaming them is one of the most insane feelings in this game, and that's why I'm addicted to using flamethrower on the bot side. Now, I've also really been liking anti-tank mines, because with their buff damage, they do kill heavies very easily, and in my last slot, I took Eagle Strafing Run, mainly for the utility of killing fabricators, but it also is pretty good against some of the enemies. And most importantly, I'm wearing Democracy Protects, because after this armor came out on Liberty Day, I realized it actually protects me 50% of the time, 100% of the time. Now, for the real weapon pairing, I'm gonna recommend on the bot side with the Halt, if you're looking for a good option, is the Laser Cannon. The Laser Cannon can basically kill Hulks in seconds if you know where their eye weak points are. Just aim a little low. It kills Devastators in like literally a second after you stun them with the Halt and then just aim it directly at their eyeball. It kills tanks and cannon turrets very fast. I think it takes maybe 3 or 4 seconds for those. It's pretty fast if you aim at their heat sinks. And then it also just kills gunships really, really fast. The Laser Cannon is super fun, but a lot of the times you do need to rely on some stunning, so the Halt is a great pairing. Now, the main enemy that the Laser Cannon really isn't the best against is the Factory Strider, so you can bring thermites in your grenade slot, but I also just like bringing a rocket sentry. Now for the backpack, you can still use the jetpack if you want, or you can use the shield backpack. I'll leave that choice up to you, depending on your playstyle. And again, the Eagle Strafing Run is great utility for fabricators, but some other great options are anti-tank mines, the 500 kg for detector towers. You can kind of mix and match with just the different stratagems I've named so far. Now, overall, the Halt is less useful on bots than it is for bugs, but at the very least, you could lock down big groups of mobs and allow your rocket sentry or your teammates to take them out for you. And being able to stun chargers from the front is pretty wild. You can't stun Hulks from the front, unfortunately. A quick side tip is you actually can stun the rocket striders if you land enough pellets on their rockets, but it is a pretty small target, so you'll have to spam a couple shots at it. And with that being said, let's move over to the top comments from the last video. So first up, we've got a comment from Mega Foot Dude, who says, for what it's worth, the Halt does not have programmable ammo. It's mechanically the same as far as what the player needs to do to swap ammo types, but if you use it, you'll see that there are 2 separate magazines, and the game keeps tracks of each one separately. If you use up all your stun shells and switch to shooting the other ammo type, you'll have a fresh mag of flechette shells. No need to reload. It's pretty dope. And I chose this one to read because Megafoot Dude wants people to stop calling this programmable. It's just switching ammo types. And you know what? This reminds me of people who get mad at me for saying clips instead of magazines. But listen, I'm not a gun nerd. I just say stuff, okay? I only shoot guns in video games. But for those of you who can remember this, stop calling it programmable ammo. Next, we've got a comment from Domi Doodoo. He says, I think they should add 25 armor rating on the new armor passive, since it doesn't matter if you can't flinch because you're already gonna be dead. It's like someone punching you in the liver and you're just acting like it didn't hurt you. Parentheses, you're dying inside. Close parentheses. And to be honest, my only response to this is I kind of remember all the posts about how people were saying to just add unflinching as a passive to all heavy armor. And Arrowhead, unfortunately, you guys made it its own armor type, but didn't add a heavy armor variant. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think they did this on purpose or anything, but it's just kind of ironic. And to be honest with you guys, I kind of want to say that they should just add unflinching to all heavy armor and just come up with a new passive for this armor, or just add 25 armor rating, because that would give the medium armors more headshot resistance. So 25 armor rating would be a good point. On top of that, I really do not like one passive armor types, you know? Even a lot of the elemental resistances armors, they don't resist for 100%, and they only have one passive. And some of them can be useful, I will say that. I do run some of them occasionally. Not really that often, if we're being honest. I do think when you guys add new passives, we're happy with that. And we're totally happy if you reuse a second passive for it. We just want our bonus effects, even if it's just 25 more armor rating, or even if it's just recoil. Heck, I'll take one extra grenade or one extra stim, why not? Finally, we've got a comment from the Mini Munchin Man, who says, the point of an SMG isn't to be one-handed, it's just a weapon that can lay down larger volumes of fire than a pistol with the same or similar ammo types. Now, this is true, and if you actually look up the weapon that the the Reprimand was based off of, I believe it actually is a larger SMG. Some people were talking about this in my Discord, and it's not a weapon that they actually one-hand in real life. It actually is a two-handed SMG. One-handed SMGs would basically be like Uzis or MP5s, and this definitely ain't one of those. But at the end of the day, I kind of knew that, and I just really like the ballistic shield, so that's where it comes from when I said I wanted it to be one-handed. Because if you look on my channel, I've posted multiple ballistic shield videos in the past, at least 2 or 3 of them at this point, and it just feels like the ballistic shield fell off, not only, kind of feeling like we really do need medium armor pen on the bot side, and yeah, there is the crossbow with that, and the crossbow is one of the most powerful weapons in the game, so at the end of the day, I can't complain. If anything, for the Reprimand and for all other assault rifles, I would really like to see them add more ammo in the mag, or for the Reprimand specifically, if they could just increase the reload speed. It does feel a little bit long sometimes, and it has a very small ammo pool, so I feel like a really fast reload speed on an SMG could make more sense as well as a buff. But in general, I've been enjoying it. I've also, I kind of fell in love with the Halt the last day though. And for that Flamer build over on bots, I might even go back to the Plasma Punisher, just because the Plasma Punisher does have the actual utility of being able to kill like cannon turrets and tanks from longer distances, or actually being able to kill Devastators from longer distances. The Halt and the Flamethrower on the bug side is freaking amazing, but on the bot side, you actually have to be really, really close to the enemies to take them out, and it's kind of crazy trying to pull that off. So with that being said, that's going to be it for this video. I wanted to keep the info as straight and fast and to the point as possible, and obviously I wanted to respond to some of your guys' comments, because especially after Erevan shared that keybind tip with me, it unlocked this gun on another level. Being able to just fast swap, they really need to add a dedicated keybind for that. And even without changing your keybinds, if you're just using the stun rounds as a pure support tool for your teammates, your sentries, or supporting your own support weapon, or a buddy backpack, it's still insanely powerful. No need to simply swap back and forth all the time. Just pick one and run with it. So if you enjoy this content, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.